Hello everyone, welcome to Sports Royale's YouTube channel. We'll be bringing to you your royal dose of daily cricket madness. Today's topic is India's probable World Cup squad. So starting with the first segment, which is the Indian cricket players who have already cemented their place in India's World Cup squad, irrespective of the IPL performances. So let's hear about them from our panel members.
So talking about India's probable 11, I think Rohit, Virat Kohli and KL Rahul need no mention. Obviously, their form will be an area of concern, especially with Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, because they are India's top quality batsmen and they have been performing really well over the years. They really are the backbone of our Indian team. On the other hand, I would say KL Rahul has been performing consistently. So that is not one area that we should be worried about. Moving on to number 4, I think over the years, the team management has not really defined the perfect role for a number 4 batsman. And now it's looking like Surya Kumar Yadav is the perfect candidate for the number 4 spot. And obviously, that's because in this year's IPL, he scored 239 runs in 6 games at an average of 47.8 with a strike rate of 151.27. But last year, he just was too good. And over the years, since 2018, he's been performing really well. He's been the glue to the Mumbai Indians batting strength. And that's all about it. I think he should definitely be playing at number 4. He also provides the role of an anchor in case India lose the top 3 pretty early in the game. So he can play the role of an anchor and sort of build an innings from there. And he can just go wild in the last few overs.
I mean, I completely agree with Surya at 4. I think one potential name that I might like to put into the hat for the number 4 spot would be Iyer, given how consistent he has been with the Delhi Capitals and KKR this year. Especially with this KKR team, you can really see that he's their most consistent performer. And even with Delhi Capitals, you saw that at number 3, number 4 spot, that's one place that they're really struggling with. They're really missing Iyer out there. So I think Iyer would be a decent shout. But I put Surya a little bit ahead right now because I think when we look at the form of these two players over the past years, there's very little to separate them. But I think Surya just edges it a little bit. However, I would watch out for Iyer as he could be a name to look out for that number 4 spot. Yeah. But so while since now we have the top 4 of our team relatively sorted and we have a rough skeleton of what we want, I think after going for consistency, a relative consistency in the top 4 with I think at number 5 we should go for a finisher like Rishabh Pant. And I think that over the past year or so, his national form has been pretty good. And I agree that while his red ball form must kind of overpowers his white ball form, I think that he's one of those cricketers who's in the good books of the selectors because of his performances, and he's somebody who's highly favored by them. I would also look at Pant as one of the future potential captaincy options once Rohit Sharma goes away, because the thing with Rohit Sharma is that he's not going to while he's a class player and there's no denying that, he doesn't have many years left at the top, and there will be time where he will be leaving and that captaincy spot will be up for grabs again. So I think along with KL, Rishabh Pant is one of those cricketers that the BCCI would be eyeing, and plus I also think that they see the potential in him and they want him to consistently finish off matches for India with the bat. And as we can see, his skills with the gloves have tremendously improved with the national level. One last thing I'd like to say is that when we go to our all-rounders, I think there's one complete show, and that is Sir Jadeja. Jadeja has to be in the Indian team as far as the all-rounders are concerned. In last year, we saw his deadly form for CSK. I think this year he has just been a little burdened by captaincy, and I don't think that's something that fits him very well. But otherwise, he's the best fielder in the world. He is the best all-rounder that India have. He provides India with so much explosiveness when it comes to batting in the middle order. He can quickly stitch up some quick runs if required. Supposingly, like in the death, he can bat really well. and I think that's rubbed off on him from Dhoni. And also he provides the team with a fifth bowling option who can consistently provide 4 overs. And I think he's just a very complete all-rounder by himself.
Adding on to Aman's point, I would like to say that Pant and Jadeja can play the role of a floater, depending on the situation. So let's say, for example, if the top three have scored at a quick rate, and in 15 overs we have somewhere around 160, 170 runs, and we lose 2 wickets out there, we can probably send in Jadeja or maybe Pant to score at a much quicker rate. I think another walk-in I feel is Yuzvendra Chahal. Over the years, India has not really banged on their leg spinners, and they've not really relied on them. They've more or less relied on their finger spinners, that is Ravindra Jadeja and Ravichandran Ashwin. So I feel India definitely needs a leg spinner, especially in Australia, because there's a high chance that the ball will be spinning, and he provides you with an option that he can bowl in the power play, in the middle overs, and he can get you those crucial wickets at any stage of the game. Talking about his recent performance in this IPL, he has picked up 18 wickets at an average, and he's bowled pretty well. So I feel Chahal has to be a part of this year's T20 World Cup. I seriously don't understand why he was not picked for the last year's T20 World Cup. I just simply don't understand what the selectors are doing over there. So he should have been there in Dubai for this year's T20 World Cup. Next, I would like to talk about Harshal Patel. Harshal Patel has been bowling Yorkers at will. His best quality is that even when he's bowling those slow ones, his arm speed does not decrease at all. So that's one way that he deceives the batsman really well. And this year he's been on and off, I would say, because before his sister's death, I think he was in a better frame of mind. He was picking up wickets. And after that, I think he's not really in that mental state, I would say, go out there and perform really well for his team. But I think he'll make a great comeback, and he should be a part of this year's T20 World Cup. He can bowl those overs in the death and in the middle overs, and he can also get you those crucial wickets. So I feel he is going to be an integral part of this year's Team India's setup.
Moving on to our next segment, we'll be discussing about the top performers of this IPL who have made a case for themselves to be selected in this year's World Cup squad. So now on to the panel members.
So I think when we talk about the top performers, one person we have to talk about, and he deserves a huge shout out for this, has to be Hardik Pandya. Is because given his situation with the Mumbai Indians, where he was such an integral part of a title squad, he experienced a downturn in form over the past 3 years after his back injury, and he wasn't even retained by the Mumbai Indians. So I'm sure that must have been a very tough spot for him. However, he was put in a equally difficult role where he was tasked with leading the Gujarat Titans. And honestly, even I didn't think that he would be doing such a good job with that team, given how badly that team fared at the auction. They didn't do a very good job at the auction, and it was a lot of people thought that they would be a disappointment and a joke of a team. However, they've proved everybody wrong and are at the top of the table. More than that, Hardik has upped his game himself so much. He comes and bats at 4. He has pushed himself up the order. He plays as a proper batsman, takes the innings deeps, and tries to finish it off with the big shots in between. Also, the second player I would like to talk about, and this is Kuldeep Yadav. What Kuldeep Yadav has done this IPL is tremendous, to say the least. He was again post 2019, just before the 2019 World Cup, he started experiencing a very poor downturn in form, and he started leaking a lot of runs. He lost a lot of confidence. Add to that, his franchise lost a lot of trust in him, and he was usurped by Varun Chakravarti. He didn't even get to play any games. He was disrespected heavily by that KKR management. Now he was tasked with a very big job of replacing Ashwin as the leader of a spin attack, and that is something we've not really seen Kuldeep do. In the Indian team, he had Jadeja and Chahal by him, and in KKR there was Sunil Narine. He has literally come and ripped everybody in this IPL. not only that is that batsmen can't score runs off him. If they try to score runs off him, they will lose their wicket. He's basically become a 4-over bank for the Delhi Capitals, wherein he barely leaks any runs. Even if he goes for sixes, he comes back with more confidence and he tries to take the wicket. And the drift he's providing in the air, the speed by which he's bowling, it's tremendous, and it feels that everything is going right for Kuldeep Yadav. If given his current form, I think he makes a case to go straight into the 11 and act as India's own Chinaman Rashid Khan.
The player that comes to my mind is Dinesh Karthik. So, like, everyone knows about his recent explosions at the crease. So, talking about Dinesh Karthik, he has already scored somewhere around 200 runs in the tournament. He scored these runs at the strike rate of 198, which is pretty great as compared to other batsmen. Now, talking about what role can Dinesh Karthik play in the Indian team? So the number 6 spot is pretty much empty right now. Only competitor being Hardik Pandya. So what the Indian team management can do is have Dinesh Karthik bat at number 6, where he can take up the finisher's role for Team India and finish games as he's been doing for RCB. Now moving on to the other.
I'd like to mention Rahul Tripathi's name because he's been the glue to SRH's batting prowess. He's batted pretty well in the middle overs. He bats at 3 for SRH, and currently in the Indian team, if you see, I think Suryakumar is the player who's going to bat at 4. So Rahul Tripathi should be on that flight to Australia, and he should be going there as a backup for Suryakumar Yadav. In this year's IPL, he's played 8 games, and I think he scored around 230 runs at a strike rate of 174. That is quite amazing, and he averages 38. So I think it's a decent shout for the number 4 spot in case Suryakumar is not available, just in case he's injured or something. The next player that I'd like to mention is Umran Malik, the young and upcoming fast bowler from Kashmir. In this year's IPL, he's performed really well. He's picked 15 wickets so far in 8 matches that he's played for SRH. And all of a sudden, the SRH management is looking at him as their lead fast bowler. So to look at a youngster like Umran Malik, who's not even 20 years old, and look at him as their lead fast bowler is quite a big thing for that player. Earlier in the season, I think was trolled quite badly for simply just bowling pace and not focusing on his line and length. But under the guidance of Dale Steyn, I think he's improved a lot. He's bowling quick, and he's also a thinking cricketer now. He's bowling pace at great line and lengths, and that's what is getting him the rewards. So I think he should be on that flight to Australia.
So just a quick rapid fire question: Mohammad Shami or Umran Malik, who's better?
I think at the moment, Shami.
Mohammad Shami.
Yes.
As well.
Okay. So now moving on to our last segment, we'll be talking about the doubtful cases of this year's IPL, which have not proved their case as per the selection committee, and who probably won't be flying to Australia. So on to the panel members now.
The first name that I'd like to mention is Ishan Kishan. He's simply not turned up this year for Mumbai Indians. I think they've paid big amounts of money to him, 15 crores price tag that he's provided with, and he's simply not lived up to the promise. He was a promising cricketer, and he's simply just not there. I just think that he should just not fly to Australia. He does not deserve it. He's not scoring runs. He's simply out there with Rohit Sharma. They both are struggling, and that's the reason why I think Mumbai Indians belong where they are.
I'd like to mention Bhuvneshwar Kumar. I have been feeling this for the past few years now, but Bhuvneshwar Kumar is not the bowler that he used to be. There are much more effective bowlers than him in the Indian contingent currently. And ever since his injury concerns increasing, like he's just lost it. He's not that. He can't swing the ball. His cutters, he can't bowl those cutters that he used to. In the power play, he starts leaking runs. He doesn't take quick wickets up front. In the death, he's not effective. It's just like he's a very ordinary bowler now. Like the thing about Bhuvneshwar Kumar is that when he burst onto the scene, that his swing, that was completely unheard of. Like the amount he could swing that ball, those cutters that he would bowl, the quick wickets he would take in the power play. It was just, it's ever since his injury concern is just not there anymore. And the issue that Hyderabad used to face before this was that when when Bhuvneshwar did well, Hyderabad did well, and when he did not do well, Hyderabad just could not cope with the pressure from the other team. Now I think they've in the form of Umran Malik and the other their other contingent working their numbers and carrying their weight. I think that Bhuvneshwar is just not needed anymore, and that he's just additional baggage at this point of time. He's been very disappointing.
That comes to my mind is Varun Chakravarti. So just to sum it up, he's been a big disappointment this season. So when he moved to KKR from Punjab in 2020, so as you all know that a couple of seasons of IPL were in UAE where the pitches were low, spinning a lot. So at that time, he like the mystery that he possessed that time was difficult to pick up, and the batsmen faced a lot of difficulty facing him, getting him away, and he picked up a lot of wickets. Now, once he got the international exposure, when every batsman had a sight of him, and were able to start picking him up, the mystery just vanished. There was no magic left in these fingers. So, what we can conclude is that this season he's been a flop. He hasn't picked up wickets for Kolkata. KKR has been mainly reliant on Sunil Narayan this season. They gave away Kuldeep Yadav in the bid to keep Varun Chakravarti, and he hasn't just turned up this season.